Thanks for staying with us. We'll be starting today's newspaper review with The Nation. Treason trial. Why Supreme Court reversed Kanu's acquittal. Berates federal government over extraordinary rendition from Kenya. IPOB rejects Iwanyanwu's call for amnesty for Kanu. Rivers crisis. Fresh resignations deplete Fubara's cabinet. 2 federal lawmakers lead solidarity march for governor. I must deliver on mandate, Fubara insists. Northern governors to federal government. End banditry, terrorism now. Donate 180 million to victims of Tudumbiri bombing. CDS, military will punish personnel culpable. Tinubu governors, Ohaneze mourn Izefe. State celebrates as November FAC allocation tops 1 trillion. Inflation rate hits 28.2% NBS. What happened after my birthday event by Akpabio? So I have a story in the papers. War against terrorism, a must-win, says DHQ, that's the Defense Headquarters. And they have described the ongoing operations against terrorism and insecurity across the country as a war that the military has no choice but to win. And it says that the military is conducting the war against terrorism in accordance with laws of armed conflict and based on intelligence as well. The Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, was the one who said this in a statement yesterday. And he said that the ongoing operations are also based on both military necessity and on distinguishing between civilians, non-combatants, and terrorists. And they will continue to take the fight to terrorists and their cohorts until they are destroyed or surrendered finally. So he went ahead to provide updates. There's a lot of updates here on their operations across the country in the past week. And he says that the troops killed 38 terrorist commanders and their foot soldiers, while 159 of them were arrested. So recently, they conducted 2 major airstrikes on the terrorist enclave. One of the strikes on the 6th of December 2023, they neutralized several top terrorist commanders, Machika, a top terrorist bomb expert, and the younger brother of a notorious terrorist, Dogo Gide. And they also got other prominent terrorist leaders, which were neutralized. They had Haro, Dan Mohamadu, and they said both of them were specialists in kidnapping and assault operations, respectively. Additionally, 11th of December, they had another synchronized strike between air and ground armed forces at their target, and a renowned leader, terrorist leader responsible for the abduction of the students of Federal University, Gusau, Zamfara State, Ali Alhaji Al-Heri, was popularly called Kachala. He was also neutralized in Munya local government of Niger State, along with many foot soldiers. So it was a breakdown. There's a lot here. Let's not just go deep into that. It was a breakdown of all the things they had done. And I'm excited that we are getting to hear this. We're going to, NDLEA always puts up what they are doing, and we can appreciate the work that they do. Yes, and we have talked about how our soldiers, need to put up what they are doing so we can they are doing a lot. They are risking their lives. Sometimes they lose their lives. Yes. And because we really do not know what they are doing, we only see the bad news and then we castigate them. But with all of this now, well done, the Nigerian Air Force Defense, the Nigerian Army, the police, you guys are doing amazing. Well done.
I totally agree with that, because if we don't know, then we cannot appreciate. So that's good news. And from the Jabo Chancellor, Jabo is the Joseph Ayo Babalola University. The Vice Chancellor is crying out loud about the high cost of electricity in the school. He said the amount of money being spent on diesel alone to provide electricity in Nigerian universities is simply not sustainable. He also said that it is not a challenge that is peculiar to just that university, that it's all over Nigerian universities, and he is appealing to the federal government through the Rural Electrification Agency to address these energy issues. He said, and I quote, "I want to use this medium to applaud the federal government's efforts through the Rural Electrification Agency in addressing this challenge through the implementation of the multi-million-dollar World Bank-supported Energizing Education Program. The program is in the 2nd phase now and covers about 7 federal universities. 3rd phase of the program is also planned to cover another 8 federal universities. So he's appealing that this medium is using this medium to appeal to the federal government to widen the beneficiaries of this laudable program, to include the states and privately owned universities too, so that they can use some of these funds to cater to their electricity bills. So let's hope that his appeal is considered.
And I hope there's something that can be done more sustainably, rather than having to use funds to
keep running,
buying fuel. If there's an investment towards maybe a solar
panel
or energy source of supply, I think it would
that would make more sense.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And so the story on residents trapped as family seals Lagos estate over court order. And so hundreds of residents and landlords were thrown into confusion on Friday morning following the invasion of Famade Estate in the Ojokoro area of Lagos State by hoodlums suspected to be land grabbers and the policemen.
Oh, wow.
And so this report states that...
With land grabbers and policemen?
Yes, like over 300 hoodlums went to this estate in company of policemen to lock the estate gate. And so residents, landlords, could not go out or come into the estate. And the reason was because this particular estate had been in the court over the rightful possession of the estate over 30 years. And so the court actually declared that the Shekoni family are the original owners of that estate. But rather than engaging the residents, they decided to go, because they had the court order, they decided to go take policemen, obviously, because they had a court judgment, and then locked the estate. So people couldn't go out or come in.
Wow.
It was a bit messy, because at some point the residents had to physically engage them. And so 2 of the residents were badly injured. And so the issue really is that even the policemen couldn't help the situation. But then again, the family, the Shekoni family, is insisting that they didn't lock both the gates and the pedestrian, that they still allowed them to
come in
through the pedestrian. But the main gate is locked, that they can categorically say that the main gate is locked. Wow. So I hope that there is a reasonable resolving of the situation early enough, so that residents can go about their daily activities.
Now. All right, now let's move on to the Punch, Saturday Punch. Ohaneze knocks Supreme Court for upholding Kanu's terrorism trial. I returned to Nigeria homeless after 30 years in UK and US, Ondo man. How Fubara fell out with Wike. Ex-governor imposed commissioners' advisors, others on successor. Federal lawmakers protest, ask Tinubu to intervene, while National Assembly can't act yet, Reps spokesperson. Paternity fraud. Shocking revelations as more couples embrace DNA testing. Entertainers who dominated showbiz in 2023. I lost my sight while solving mathematics questions. Blind student honored by WAEC. Marketers fault panic buying as fields queues spread. So I have the marketer story.
Okay.
And, there's a lot of queue for fuel in different filling stations across different parts of the country. Lagos, Ogun, Abuja, Nasarawa, and a few other states. And this happened mainly on Friday. They said a lot of the stations were not able to dispense, the commodity. And the oil marketers are saying that there's enough product to keep the country, during this Yuletide season. However, they find out some, especially NNPC, is selling at a lower price, and so there's more queue in NNPC stations. And when they go to other stations, it's higher than what they can get in NNPC. And the marketers are really complaining about this, saying this is not favorable to their business. Yeah. The NNPC is the sole importer of petroleum products because they can access Forex directly and get the official price. The marketers on their own are not able to do that, and so their prices would definitely be higher than NNPC, and so they are not playing fair in the market, and that's why we're having some of these queues. But they said there's enough field to go around the season. I would think
but how come we are not seeing it to buy? Because this morning I just saw a lot of black market guys on the road.
A filling station that sells cheaper, And
so I don't mind though, as long as the thing is available.
Yeah.
As long as it is available.
Let's see how that goes. But let's take a short break now. When we come back, we continue with the newspaper reviews. Stay with us. Welcome back. So we're still reviewing the Punch.
Right. So this is still on the consequences of the hike in the cost of living, because a man has killed himself by hanging in Adamawa. His name is was Yakubu Mamza. He was a lonely man, and he was living in an uncompleted building in a housing estate in Jimeta, Yola. He was found dangling from a rope, tied, to a rod on the fence of his abode. And according to information going around, he's a father of 3, and he separated from his wife about 2 years ago. And since he separated, he has been living alone in that uncompleted building. Unfortunately, he has, killed himself, maybe out of hopelessness. And this is coming just 2 days after a young lady in a neighboring local government killed herself by drinking local poison called otapiapia. And she killed herself because she lost her lover to beer poisoning. So there's been a rise of suicide around that area. So people with knowledge of Yakub Mamza said they do not know what could have caused or what could have triggered his final decision to take his own life. Wow. However, the Adamawa State Police Command hasn't still spoken on this incident as at when the story was filed. So we just hope that everyone just keeps the hope alive. I know it's difficult, it can be challenging, and it's easier said than done, but there's always light at the end of the tunnel, somewhere, somehow. I know there are some people in some situations right now, they do not even know how to spend this Christmas or what to do or what to eat, but the fact that you are even alive is something to be grateful for.
Can happen.
So please, suicide is never an option.
At all.
Never, ever.
So the residents of Emmanuel Okon Crescent, New London Estate, Barua inside Ikpaja Ayobo in Alimosho local government area of Lagos State have come out to say that there was this resident in the area that got an approval to build a supermarket, but is currently building a petrol station.
Quickly.
And so the residents have said, we don't want a repetition of what happened before. So there was a gas explosion somewhere within the area before. And knowing fully well that it is a residential area, why would somebody who had the intention of building a supermarket now decide one day and say that he wants to...
He did not decide one day. That was his plan.
Do you get?
Or maybe he did a feasibility study and then realized that...
I mean, so the what approvals did he get, right? And so the residents have said that they don't want to take matters into their hands and to cause a breakdown of law and order in the area. And so they took the matter to LASEPA, saying that this our co-landlord wants to do something like this. And so LASEPA has come out to say that they're not an approving authority in this case. They're not the Department of Petroleum Resources and Physical Planning. And so they want the matter to be taken to the DPR so that they know whether an approval was given in the first place. Because one of the things this man did was that he now, the rumors were going on that he wanted to build a petrol station, but he was saying no. And so overnight, the man brought in the structure. He brought in tanks and, installed them overnight. And then when the residents woke up in the morning, they were now wondering, And so, as a result of that, they had to now take the matter up to the government. But the government also, LASEPA, said that they're not the ones to handle the case. And they need to take it to the Department of Petroleum Resources and Fiscal Planning. If they gave the man approval.
First of all.
And if they gave him approval,
why
did they give him
an approval?
The approval in such an area. So there are many other questions to be answered in that situation.
Two questions, though.
Before you even set up a...
Yes. This is I no go agree, I no go agree. Carry that placard.
Absolutely. Before you even set up such a business, you're supposed to, check out location. Exactly. Location.
That's why I told you it was not... he did not just decide.
This is so unfair.
He planned it from the beginning. And we just hope they did not give him approval for a filling station.
I hope.
That's another thing.
Hopefully.
Because even at that point, the residents may not
be able to do anything about it. Wow. All right, now let's move on to Saturday Vanguard. Wike Fubara fights a threat to democracy. Lawyers. Condemnation of dirty politics, high-handedness, House of Assembly demolition spreads nationwide. Real reason lawmakers defected. Biafra. Supreme Court declines to free Kanu. Inflation jumps to 28.20% in November. That's by the MBS. Tinubu Uzodinma Ohaneze Mon Izefe. Edo 2024. Elevating the discourse with eyes on Ighodalo. Igadolo. A roadmap for APC. What Abdul Razak plans for Kwara before he leaves office. Northern governors donate 180 million to survivors of Kaduna bomb attack. World Bank now our enemy, a threat to our economy, NLC. Rejects their call for government to increase petrol price to 750 naira a litre. Says World Bank, IMF share history of failed prescription in developing countries. Insists present mass suffering, poverty worsened by last price hike. Flight cancellations, delays, why Kiamu's compensation scheme may not work. Stakeholders. So the Nigerian Labour Congress are rejecting calls by the World Bank for the federal government to increase the pump price of petrol to 750 a litre. I took that story yesterday. And it made the front page again. And they're saying that the banks want to set the country on fire. And according to the NLC, the World Bank's call, and I quote, is an advice laden with mischief and intended to destabilize not only the nation's economy, but also Nigeria's long-term development plans. This was according to their president, President Joe Ajaero. He says the 750 a litre for premium motor spirit is a threat to Nigerian economy, that the difficulties and sufferings created by the last hike in the price of PMS, which is also a product of the advice given by the World Bank, is not working well for Nigerians. A lot of Nigerians are struggling to even meet up with the current price, not to talk of increasing it again. But in this story that I took yesterday, the marketers are saying, the marketers and the IMF, World Bank are also saying that we are not paying cost-reflective price for the petroleum that we have right now, and that government is still finding a way to pay subsidy, right? And that's why they have to increase it. If we have to really benefit from removal of subsidy, we should be paying up to 1,000 naira right now per litre. NLC is saying, we can't have this right now. It's going to cause a lot of anarchy in the country. People are still struggling to even afford to pay the 600 and something, and you want to increase it to 750. That it seems like these World Bank people are enemies to the people of Nigeria. They just come up with policies that will benefit them as foreigners, but then they're not looking
and what is obtainable, what is real.
Power, and that's what they've been going back and forth. So I think it's really on the front burner. That's why we still have it today in the front paper. So we await, government also has said,
let's see how it goes.
It's not like we have not removed subsidy. We have actually removed it, but we still will pay attention to how the people are feeling and still help them in some ways to cushion the effect. So we really do not understand what is going on right now.
Fingers crossed.
Which other stories?
So I have this story. Ondo police arrests prophet grandma for alleged murder of day-old baby. And so this lady could not find a child. Immediately after leaving, she couldn't find a child. Unfortunately, she then went to report to the police, and then they told her that. And then she was just worried about the whereabouts of her baby, and so the grandma was brought in. And so in the process, they found out that the grandma connived with a prophet for ritual purposes. They needed a newborn, and so she took
the grandma to the baby.
Yes. So she took her grandchild and used
for the ritual.
Alleged, because the reports have not come out to verify the
what exactly
authenticity of the story. And so they're currently in the police station. The grandma went ahead to say that the child died and she had buried the child without the knowledge of the mother. The hospital? maybe she won't give birth in a traditional birth.
Okay.
She
Or
didn't
other family
see,
members.
she didn't see the
Her
dead
baby.
body,
Oh.
even if she actually died. And so the police is just on this case, and they're serious about it.
You have a story? So,
Yeah, so the family...
final story?
Yeah. The family of Henry Oko, a victim of December 14th sit-at-home attack at Inwako Markets, local government area of Ebonyi, has called on the federal government to set up a special intervention fund for the treatment and rehabilitation of innocent victims of sit-at-home littered across the southeast. And this is coming from the spokesman to the family. He said that most of the victims of the sit-at-home attack have been abandoned, and they went out thinking that the government would protect them, because the government had said that they should
open up.
they should open up their businesses. So they went around their normal businesses thinking that they would be protected, but then the enforcers of the sit-at-home came and attacked them. Some of them were able to escape. Some of them were rescued alive from the scene. But according to this spokesperson to the family, Mr. Steve Oko, he said most of these victims have been abandoned by the federal and southeast governments. And he's really angry and saying that the government gave them false assurances. And so they should set up an intervention for to at least take care of the people that were victims of the attack.
Wow, that's so painful. Thank you so much, ladies. That's all we can take on the newspaper reviews.